Let's look at the internal anatomy now.
Dorsal is the term used to describe an animal's top or backside. And ventral is the term used to describe an animal's bottom or stomach side. Place your frog in a dissecting pan, dorsal side down. The frog's stomach area should be facing up. Pin the frog onto the dissecting pan. This is done by inserting a pin through each limb and pushing each into the wax surface of the dissecting pan. Pushing the pins into the wax at an angle rather than straight down will help prevent the pins from coming loose. If needed, use more than one pin for each limb. 5 cuts with scissors will be used to open the frog. First, one long main cut is made to the skin along the center of the ventral surface. This cut is followed by 4 side cuts, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom of the main center cut. Prepared frogs, such as the one shown here, may already have a small ventral slit where you can insert your scissors. It was made by the frog supplier when preparing the animal for dissection. If your frog does not have a slit, pinching the skin together near where the slit appears on this frog may help you get the point of the scissors through the rather tough but thin skin. Begin the dissection by using your scissors to make a single long cut along the center of the ventral side of the frog. You will be cutting only through the skin at this time. Use caution to make sure that the cut is shallow. Do not dig deep with the scissors. A shallow cut will avoid damage to parts that lie below the skin. Continue the cut down the entire length of the animal's ventral side, stopping just before reaching its thighs. Starting at the top of the main cut, make a perpendicular cut toward one side. The cut should extend to almost under the frog's front leg. Position the scissors at the bottom of the main central cut and make another perpendicular cut that extends close to the edge of the frog's thigh. This cut should be similar in length to the cuts made at the top. Make the next cut toward the opposite side. It should be similar in length to the one just made. Make one last cut. It should be as long as the one just made on the opposite side. Using tweezers, pull back the skin to prepare for pinning. If the skin sticks or adheres to the muscle tissue directly below, pull lightly with the tweezers to loosen it. Use pins to secure the 2 skin flaps to the dissecting pan. 1 pin per side should be enough to hold these flaps in place. Note the many blood vessels that can be seen on the underside of the skin. Some gas exchange occurs across this moist skin, making a frog's skin part of its respiratory system. Muscle tissue lies directly below the skin and must be cut in order to observe the internal organs of the frog. 5 cuts with scissors will be needed. These 5 cuts follow the same pattern as those made in the skin. Use tweezers to pull back the 2 flaps of muscle. If the muscle flaps do not pull away easily from the organs below, pull lightly with tweezers to free them. Use pins to secure the 2 muscle flaps to the dissecting pan.
We begin a dissection by placing a preserved leopard frog into a dissecting pan. Position the frog onto the dissecting pan dorsal side down, on its back, ventral side facing up.
Use your scissors to make 5 shallow cuts through the skin along the red dashed lines shown here.
Use tweezers to pull the skin flaps away from the frog's midsection. First, gently pull one flap to the right and pin it down at each corner. Then repeat this procedure on the left side of the frog.
Now, make cuts to the thin torso muscles along the small lines. Use tweezers to pull the muscle flaps away from the frog's body. Then, pin them down on top of the skin flaps. To see inside the frog's mouth, you will cut the frog's jaw. Insert one blade of your scissors along the inside edge of one side of the frog's mouth. The blade should be about 2 centimeters deep. Now, cut through the jawbone. Repeat this procedure on the other side of the frog's mouth. Open the frog's mouth. Locate the tongue. It's attached to the front of the lower jaw. In the back of the mouth, there are 2 openings. Locate a long horizontal slit. This is the opening to the esophagus. A second, smaller slit appears below the esophagus opening. This is the glottis, the opening to the frog's respiratory system. Locate the nostril openings in the roof of the mouth. Between these openings are 2 teeth-like structures called vomerine teeth. The liver is the largest organ of the digestive system. It is located towards the anterior end of the body cavity and appears to have 3 portions, or lobes. The liver produces bile, a chemical that aids in the digestion of fat. The long, thick tube seen along the side of the liver is the stomach. The stomach is the first organ in the frog where chemical digestion of food takes place. Its anterior end connects to the esophagus, while its posterior end connects to the small intestine. This is the gallbladder. The gallbladder stores bile and releases it into the small intestines by way of a small tube or duct. Along the inner edge of the stomach is the pancreas. It produces several different chemicals which aid in further digestion. The long twisted tube that starts at the posterior end of the stomach is the small intestine. Digestion of food is completed here. Nutrients pass into the bloodstream from the small intestine for use by body cells. Connected to the posterior end of the small intestine is a short, thick tube. This is the large intestine. Undigested food is stored here before leaving the digestive system by way of the cloaca.
Remove the liver, small intestine, and large intestine from the body cavity. Lift these organs out using tweezers and clip the ends. This will allow you to observe some of the organ systems that lie below. You will now remove the liver and the gallbladder. Please locate the liver and make 2 small incisions along the red lines marked on your screen. Now use the tweezers to remove the liver and the gallbladder from the body cavity. Place the liver on the dissecting pan. You will now remove the stomach. Please locate the stomach and make the 2 small incisions along the red lines marked on your screen. Now use the tweezers to remove the stomach from the body cavity. Place the stomach on the dissecting pan. You will now remove the pancreas. Please locate the pancreas and make 2 small incisions along the red lines marked on your screen. Now use the tweezers to remove the pancreas from the body cavity and place it on the dissecting pan. You will now remove the small and large intestines. Please locate the intestines and make 2 small incisions along the red lines marked on your screen. Now use the tweezers to remove the intestines from the body cavity and place them on the dissecting pan. We can now clearly observe some of the organ systems that lie below.
Frogs exchange gases through their lungs and skin. These 2 organs make up the animal's respiratory system. In humans, skin does not participate in gas exchange.
Air passing into or out of the lungs must pass through the frog's nostrils. These 2 openings are found at the anterior end of the head. Nostrils lead to the inside of the mouth. An opening within the mouth, called the glottis, leads to a short tube called the trachea, which connects the mouth to the lungs.
Amphibians have 2 lungs. They appear as sac-like structures lying on either side of the heart. Lungs are where oxygen moves into the bloodstream and carbon dioxide moves out. Frogs also use their skin as an organ for gas exchange. Many blood vessels present in the skin pick up oxygen from the water and give off carbon dioxide into the water. The circulatory system in frogs and in humans provides a way of moving blood throughout an animal's body. It consists of a series of tubes or vessels that carry blood and a heart which acts as a pump.
Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels. They are microscopic. In capillaries, blood releases oxygen and delivers nutrients to all body cells, then picks up wastes and carbon dioxide from body cells.
Arteries are large blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart. Veins are blood vessels that bring blood back to the heart. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels that connect arteries to veins.
A frog's heart is located between the lungs. The heart of a frog consists of 3 chambers. There are 2 small chambers on top called the right and left atrium. There is 1 large chamber on the bottom called the ventricle. The ventricle has thicker, more muscular walls to pump blood to the body. In contrast to the frog, the human heart has 4 chambers, 2 atria and 2 ventricles.
A view inside the heart shows that the chambers are hollow. Blood flows into these chambers and is pumped out again through one-way valves. Oxygen-poor blood from veins enters the right atrium. Oxygen-rich blood from the lungs enters the left atrium. Blood is then pumped from both atria into the ventricle. When the ventricle contracts, some of the mixed blood is pumped to the lungs where it picks up oxygen. Some is pumped out to the body. This 3-chambered heart is not as efficient as the 4-chambered hearts of birds or mammals, in which oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood do not mix. However, remember that gases in amphibians are also exchanged through capillaries of the skin, giving them an additional source of oxygen. A frog's reproductive system is responsible for producing sex cells. In males, sperm are formed in the testes. In females, eggs are formed in ovaries. The many thread-like parts shown in yellow are called fat bodies. They store fat that can be used by the frog for energy during hibernation or breeding.
Male reproductive organs, testes, are bean-shaped organs located toward the anterior end of each kidney. Sperm formed in the testes will pass along a tube called the sperm duct to the cloaca where these sex cells leave the frog's body.
Female reproductive organs, or ovaries, are also located towards the anterior end of each kidney. Eggs formed in the ovaries pass along a twisted tube called the oviduct on their way out of the female's body by way of the cloaca. Female frogs deposit eggs in water, where they are fertilized by sperm from male frogs.
The excretory system allows the frog to remove waste produced by body cells. Kidneys are the main organ of this system in frogs and in humans. They are often compared to filters because they cleanse the blood of unwanted wastes.
With the intestines removed, the kidneys can be seen as two large organs lying near the center along the dorsal wall of the body cavity. Blood entering the kidneys is cleansed of liquid waste, which eventually leaves the body by way of the cloaca.
A long tube can be seen leaving the posterior end of each kidney. These are the ureters. They carry liquid waste to the urinary bladder.
A sac-like organ at the posterior end of the torso is the urinary bladder. It is here that liquid wastes are temporarily stored.
The urinary bladder leads to the outside of the frog's body by way of an opening called the cloaca. This opening allows liquid wastes to leave the animal and is the same opening that allows solid waste from the digestive system to leave the frog. The frog's nervous system is made up of the brain, sense organs, a spinal cord, and a series of nerves. This system communicates messages throughout the animal's body and controls the frog's behavior.
Unpin the frog from the dissecting tray and position the animal dorsal side up. Use scissors to remove a small rectangle of skin across the top of the frog's skull. This rectangle should lie between the eyes and come close to the tip of the frog's nose. As a safety precaution, put on goggles before continuing. Using the tip end of your scissors, begin to slowly remove the skull bone which lies over the frog's brain. Small bone pieces may be pulled off with the aid of your tweezers. Go slowly and do not dig down too deeply so that you damage the brain. Continue to remove bone until the brain is exposed. You will see the different lobes of the brain.
Note that the brain is separated into left and right sides. The most anterior end of this organ shows two lobes that control the sense of smell. Directly behind these lobes are the two largest lobes of the brain, which form the cerebrum. Posterior to them are the optic lobes, which control the sense of sight.
The brain is the main center of the nervous system. It receives messages from the frog's sense organs and sends messages along the spinal cord to all body parts by way of connecting nerves. Sense organs are also part of the nervous system. They detect information from the frog's environment and pass it to the animal's brain. Eyes allow the frog to see what is happening around it, while its ears detect sounds.
Movement of a frog's body takes place through its muscular system. Muscles are attached to bones and move them as they shorten, contract, and relax.
Removing the skin from one leg will allow you to see the large muscle groups that make up the upper part of the frog's leg. Unpin one of the hind limbs. With scissors, make a cut through the skin of the unpinned leg along the edge of the upper thigh. Continue cutting the skin along the underside of the thigh, making a complete circular cut. Using tweezers, grasp the cut edge of the skin covering the leg. Pull the skin down toward the frog's foot. Stop when you have pulled the skin down to the frog's knee. Many of the large muscles present in the upper leg are now exposed. Examination of the upper leg shows that it is composed of several large muscles. Slide the end of the tweezers under some of the larger muscles to separate them from each other. This will show you the size of each specific muscle. A frog's hind legs serve as an example of what these muscles look like. Usually, muscle tissue is grouped into large bundles, making individual muscles easy to observe. Muscles found in the upper leg or thigh are responsible for moving the frog's lower leg or calf. Muscles found in the lower leg are responsible for moving the frog's foot. The frog skeleton is made up of two regions. The first is called the axial region. It forms the long axis from the anterior to the posterior along the torso. This region includes the skull and backbones and contains 47 different bones. The second region is the appendicular region. It is made up of 112 different bones which are found in the forelimbs and hind limbs. This region includes wrist, ankle, and toe bones.